Welcome to episode 43 of Shame Talks. The Snow Trilogy is over, so it's just back to me and Jason L. Mayer together. This week, episode 43, we're talking about Big Willie Blockbusters. We're going to talk about the career of Will Smith, mostly just his film career. You're really trying to get us. You're trying to get us in trouble on YouTube, but that's fine. Well,
just a couple of seconds. It wasn't long. We're okay. We'll sampling is all right.
Well, I hope they see it that way. This week, since it's me and Jason again, we are back to Taxman.
It was just the two of us. Get it?
Just the two of us. Oh my god, I didn't even catch that. That was brilliant, dude. Well played. So we're back to a Taxman beer this week, sending a shout out to our friend Troy that works for them. This week we are drinking their maple, it's not focusing on that at all, Maple Barrel Qualified. It's their quadruple ale that is then aged in maple syrup barrels. It definitely smells like maple syrup. It definitely tastes like maple syrup, but it's big and alcohol-y. It's a 10% beer. Jason doesn't seem to be a big fan of it.
Dude, it literally tastes like I'm drinking maple syrup that's been spiked. It's really weird.
Yep, that's exactly how I would describe it too. Yeah, not bad, but also not something I will probably ever go out of my way to drink again. It's fun to see the barrel aging stuff that Taxman tries to do. They've got some fun stuff. They have a gin barrel aged beer. They have a what was the other one? The tequila aged beer that they do for like Cinco de Mayo. It's pretty good. This one's just okay. And I'll probably be drinking a lot of water tonight because I'm still kind of recovering from my birthday drinking last night. I drank an absolutely amazing, delicious coconut beer last night, like super chocolatey. With a nice milk chocolatey flavor up front, with a smooth coconut finish in the back end. It actually smells amazing, also. So I'm still kind of trying to recover from that big 12%er that I was drinking last night to celebrate my birthday.
Happy birthday, baby! Woo woo!
Appreciate that. This year was much more low key and not as eventful.
Didn't pass out in your garage on
right.
Your couch.
Not as eventful as last year, where all hell broke loose. Well, my birthday party last year, and you got to think, like last year we were in the middle of COVID. It had been like 3 months since I'd seen any of my drinking friends, and unfortunately, we were very irresponsible to celebrate my birthday. We had a huge party.
I like we were irresponsible. I only remember one person being so drunk.
Oh, no. What I mean by
logs onto his fire that was already quite big.
What I mean by we were being irresponsible more so is I'm saying we weren't wearing masks and we weren't socially distancing. Like 3 months into COVID, we threw that party and probably shouldn't have. I mean, to my knowledge, nobody got COVID from the party, so it's all okay now. But, who knows? But, yeah, as far as the drinking in excess and being like an idiot, that was definitely – I was the only one doing that. And everybody got to watch me make a fool of myself last year, so we just kept it very low-key this year.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, good times. Delicious beer that I drank. It was a lot of fun.
You told me you got some really cool birthday present that I'm kind of jealous of, man.
I did.
And your stepdaughter.
Yeah, so last year you bought me the Friends. It's actually sitting right here. Oh, please don't fall apart. So last year you bought me this Lego set, the Central Perk Lego set. It was an absolutely amazing birthday present from you last year. So this year my wife and stepdaughter bought me the Lego Apartments set that was just released on January 1st. So they literally went out and got it the first day that it came out, and I am super excited to put that one together this weekend. So then I'll have to just figure out a way to display them close to each other because it's a pretty big box. So I assume it's going to be a pretty big Lego set. So really excited about putting that together. But yeah, so talked about our beer, talked about my birthday. That's over. I don't have to worry about that for another year now. Last week we watched Wrath of Man together, which I thought was just okay. I didn't hate it, but I didn't really think it was that great of a movie. What are your feelings on it?
It was fine. It had some very interesting editing things that it did. I felt like the pacing was a little off and strange.
I agree.
It almost felt like they were doing it on purpose, though. So, like, I mean, it might have been like, I've got some crazy dogs right now. It might have been, oh my goodness, who directed it?
Guy Ritchie.
It might have been Guy Ritchie going for like his art house feel somehow.
Sure.
But I will say that I liked it, but The Gentleman is definitely the better movie out of his last two.
One of our employees came and watched it today and told me the same thing after he got out of the movie. He said, I liked it, but I really like The Gentleman a lot better. And I was like, I've heard I need to watch that one.
Yeah, that movie's intense. It's just real, and it's really well done all the way around. So
nice. You also, I did not stick around that night and watch The Conjuring 3 with you. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, Conjuring 3. I had never seen any of the other Conjuring movies, so I know that that's one of those things for some people who are like, "What? You went into the third one and you never saw the first two?" To be completely honest, it's not like I was avoiding Conjuring 1 or 2. I just didn't find the time.
Did you watch any of the Annabelle or Nun movies or anything? No.
Nope. But I watched the third one. This one's very intense, very spooky. Really worth my time. Really worth the effort to watch it. So I was happy that I watched it. But yeah, it was definitely. It's definitely one that I wouldn't mind going and watching the first one and maybe the second one, because I've heard the first one's the third and the first are better than the second. And they're all on HBO Max right now, so I might actually just fire it up at some point. So we'll see.
Yeah, supernatural horror just doesn't do it for me like that. So I've never really gotten into any of those three franchises or anything.
Yeah, so it's never been one of those things that is really like I've never really been into it, but
Sure.
Like sometimes movies do it well. And the other one that I think of is Lights Out. Lights Out was the other one that
still need to watch that.
That was really fun and really entertaining.
And that's only like PG-13, right?
Yeah, it's only PG-13. Teresa Palmer's the main girl in it.
I can't believe I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe you hadn't either. But yeah, she does really good in the movie. It's not that long. It's only an hour and a half.
Right.
Really well done, though. I really enjoyed that film.
Nice.
And PG-13 movies, horror movies, hardly ever work for me anyway.
Right.
But that one certainly does.
Was It Follows rated R or was it PG-13?
I think that was R.
Okay.
I never saw it.
I liked it. It was interesting for what it was.
R, right? On the poster.
On the poster, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did. I walked in for a couple of minutes while one of our other managers was screening it the night that he was doing it, but I didn't stay to watch any of it. So.
Yeah, I think it's only like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, and it's really weird. I actually ended up watching it twice because I apparently watched it at some point during COVID, and then last October when I was trying to watch all horror and scary movies, I was like, oh, I've really been wanting to watch It Follows. I'm going to watch that tonight. And like 10 minutes into the movie, I was like, I've already watched this movie. I know everything that's going to happen, but I still watched it. Just for it being like a Halloween a horror movie in October, and even watching it a second time, it still held up as a pretty decent storyline for what it was. And again, it's a very supernatural thing, which usually isn't my thing, but I'd say It Follows is worth watching, especially if it's like Halloween time. It's kind of creepy. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the reason that we're talking this week, just the two of us. Yeah. So we're talking about Will Smith this week.
Why are we talking about Will Smith in the month of June, Shane?
For June, our theme is Blockbusters. So we try to think up the people that we think of when we think of blockbuster movies. And we were kind of going for like blockbuster summer releases, but as we're going to find out as we go through Will Smith's catalog, he hits the 2 times of the year that blockbusters are released. Generally, around Memorial Day, Well, the first time of the year is usually around Memorial Day until the 4th of July is the big blockbuster release period for the summer, and then in the winter, the first week in November, which is always kind of weird, but more closer to Thanksgiving. But every year it seems like something big tries to come out at the beginning of November to like get that pre-Thanksgiving money. But so around the first week of November, all the way through until Christmas Day, and we're gonna find that a good chunk of Will Smith's movies are released in that time period, or in one of those two time periods. So we're gonna look at all that, and then the first thing that I think is really awesome about Will Smith is he started out on television, was a huge hit and success with The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for 6 years.
He was
What's that?
first.
Well, yes, I'm sorry. In his entertainment career, he did start out as a rapper first, and with him and DJ Jazzy Jeff. But that was only like a year or two. I think that they were on this I mean, obviously they probably put in years before they became big, but I think their like first album came out in like '88 or something like that. So like it wasn't too much longer after their album came out that they were given, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air TV show. And then he's one of those actors that like really didn't have to work his way into movies. Like, I know he did one movie in 1990, I think it was. I didn't even put it on our list to talk about because I'd never heard of the movie, and he's like the 8th or 9th billed person on it. So didn't really think it was worth talking about on here. The first movie role that he had was Made in America, where he still was kind of just a very side small character, with Ted Danson and Whoopi Goldberg and is it Nia Long?
That might be her. Like, all I remember is that Will Smith played the guy who was like really interested, like the best friend, who was really interested in the main girl, who was Whoopi's daughter.
Yep.
Correctly.
And then in the course of the movie, they find out that the sperm donor for the daughter was Ted Danson. And then they
find out later that it wasn't, though.
I think that's correct. That's a movie that I know I watched it a couple of times, like back in our high school days, but it is Nia Long. Okay. I don't remember a whole lot about the movie. Like, I remember liking the movie back then, but obviously I have no idea if I would still like it today. I haven't seen it in so long.
Only a 5.1 on the IMDb. So
I would say that it's probably a fairly successful movie. Domestically, it did 44 million. Grand total for worldwide was 105 million. Back in the early 90s, those aren't shabby numbers. They're okay. The next movie that he did, a little bit bigger part, but a very small movie, was 6 Degrees of Separation, where he played a con man.
Never seen it.
Never seen it? It's worth your time. I look at it the same way that I look at you Catch Me If You Can. Like, I kind of have trouble with movies where I don't mind like Ocean's 11. Like, it's about con men and it's fun and enjoyable. But like these real life con men that they end up making movies out of, I always have problems with them. It's like it glorifies it at the end of the movie. It's like, it's okay to be a con man. Like, you can get away with it and everything's okay. Like, this movie's along those lines for me. Like, he's great in it. It's a fine movie. But it's one of those plots that kind of rubs me the wrong way. But it's Wolf of Wall Street's the same way. Like, I hate that movie because of the fact that like he rips off all these people and they're like glorifying it in the movie, whereas like Boiler Room.
It's weird that you see it that way, because when I watch that, all I think is this guy's a real big piece of shit, and so are all the friends that he has.
Well, yeah, but you've got all these people watching it. They're like, oh, we wish we had all these cars and all this money and we could throw money around like he does on yachts. Like, people were glorifying his behavior.
Dude, yeah, but how many people do you know would have no problem screwing people over just so that they could be rich? There's so many people in this world that are willing to do that.
Yeah. Again, like, that's why I kind of like Boiler Room's version of the story more. Like, I feel like it kind of gave you a more like humanized version of what they were doing.
Absolutely. So, another Nia Long movie.
Yeah. Oh, good call. Yeah. 6 Degrees of Separation, really small release. It's a fine movie. Will Smith is good in it, as much as I don't necessarily like the plot of the movie or anything. Only made $6 million in the U.S. and was never released internationally, apparently, because its worldwide gross is also $6 million. So,
Gotcha.
Then, boom, right away in April of 1995, we get probably either this or Men in Black are the two movies that absolutely everybody has to associate him with, and that's Bad Boys.
Absolutely.
That was April release, kind of came out of nowhere. I never saw it in theaters. I saw it on home video. It was a VHS rental for me, but like still
Michael Bay's first movie.
Right after he directed the amazing Meatloaf "I Would Do Anything for Love" video.
You and that video, man, like you just won't let that one go.
Watch that video, man. It is a 13-minute epic masterpiece of cinematic storytelling.
Ugh.
It's beautiful, and it's a good song too. So Bad Boys came out. It made $65 million in the United States. Its grand worldwide total was 141. So pretty big success right there. Him and Martin Lawrence are absolutely amazing in this film. It's a great story. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and looking at like what you were talking about with Made in America making 105 worldwide, that's a comedy. This is an R-rated action film. So you're probably like, you're right on point with this is a successful movie. So if this is a successful movie, Made in America is probably a successful movie because there's no way it cost
the budget. Yeah,
Bad Boys did to make. I liked it. I saw something recently, and I can't remember if it was because of Bad Boys for Life or what, but they were talking about how this movie, Bad Boys, had been like kicked around like multiple times. It was supposed to be made by Dana Carvey and John Lovitz.
Yes, that's right.
Which, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think they're both funny. They would have been fine in this. It would not be what it is.
Absolutely not.
It would be something completely different. I like the fact that Will Smith's humor in the movie is very like subtle and like jabby, whereas Martin Lawrence is like really the comedic relief. And apparently, like they had to convince Will Smith that he should pull back and be more serious in the role because of the fact that him and Martin were known as comedians at the time.
Sure.
And with that being said, they kept thinking like, Will Smith kept saying, I want to up the ante. I want to be funny too. And then Michael Bay was like, oh, look, it's going to be much funnier if you go back and you're just the subtle dude. And he's the one who's the like slapstick comedic relief. And this is one of my favorite action films of all.
Yeah.
The entire sequence when Téa Leoni gets taken and the chase through the Miami street and all the shops and stuff is one of the best action sequences ever put on film for me. Michael Bay this is one of like two or three movies that I'm like, this is a great Michael Bay film. The rest of them are just blah or suck. But this is easily his. My other two are The Rock and Armageddon. So those are my top three for him, and it'd be hard for me to say like I think Bad Boys might be number one just for the action sequences alone. But don't
get me wrong, I love Armageddon because of Ben Affleck and Bruce Willis. But it is a 1-2 A B like right next to each other. Like they're both amazing in my opinion. Bad Boys is probably the better movie.
But see, like The Rock is just so good.
I just watched The Rock yesterday.
So I think The Rock might be number one for me for Michael Bay films. And
really?
Then it's right behind them are Bad Boys because like the action sequences in The Rock are just phenomenal.
Well, and Ed Harris is just an amazing like bad guy that's not really a bad guy because they did such a good job of like explaining his mentality and why he was doing what he was doing that he's a sympathetic bad guy. Like you obviously are watching the movie going, oh, he's out of line, he's doing shit that he shouldn't be doing, but at the same time you're like, but he feels like he's been fucked over to this point. And like, it's not even about him really. It's about his 73 men that he lost while he was in charge. Like it's it's a very sympathetic villain. And I mean, like, Ed Harris is great near the end when he is like, when he gives up, he's like, we bluffed, and they called it, and they win. Like, this is over.
Think about bluffing.
So all right, so yeah. Then 1 year later, on July 3rd, so he definitely moved into the July holiday weekend spot in the box office releases. He knocked it out of the park with Independence Day. Doggy on screen, woo!
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Climbing like crazy, so
not a problem. What are your thoughts and opinions on Independence Day?
Independence Day is a fun film. It's not that good of a film. It's just a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
I saw it multiple times when it came out in the theater. Talking about, let's look at this: 306 domestically, 817 worldwide. This is a blockbuster. This puts Will Smith on the map. So this is literally the beginning of the blockbusters for him, and he was pretty perfectly cast in that role.
Oh yeah,
like I said, the movie itself is it's not great. It's just good. But like Harry Connick Jr. as his teammate or his wingman is awesome. Vivica A. Fox is awesome in that role. Bill Pullman, like literally
absolutely amazing.
I've watched that man in all sorts of roles, and I never thought he was presidential. And then I feel like he is in that movie. And that speech he gives in that film is just amazing.
Absolutely, probably my favorite movie president that there ever is. But despite that, no matter what, and in no reality ever would a sitting president be allowed to go into an F-16 or whatever it was and dogfight aliens. Like,
you never know.
It worked for the movie. It's fine. He gave his big speech, but there's literally absolutely no way that could ever fly in real life.
So, but yeah, Independence Day is awesome for Will Smith's career at this point. This literally catapults him from being just a television star who's just middling in movies to being a superstar in feature films. So,
well, and like at some point I need to go back and rewatch all of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's on in the mornings on VH1 or something. So sometimes in the mornings I'll put it on and watch a few episodes and whatnot. But I want
Max, like the whole thing's on HBO Max.
Yeah, and yes, I could easily watch it that way. But like when I get up and turn on YouTube TV in the morning, it's usually like, you like watching Fresh Prince, it's on right now, and so I just click it to tell it to watch it. But I need to go back and watch specifically the last season because I don't ever remember seeing him get like jacked up on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But I mean, he was obviously pretty buff in both Bad Boys and Independence Day. So I don't know if they hid that with like loose, big, baggy clothing on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or whatnot. But like those two movies he would have filmed while still doing the TV show. And so, like I said, I don't ever remember looking at him in the TV show and being like, dude, you have bulked up. So I feel like they probably hit it with like big baggy clothes or something on that show. 1 year later, July 2nd of 97. So he's, 2 years in a row, July 4th weekend, we get Men in Black, which did almost as much as Independence Day. It did $250 million in the United States, and it did a grand total of 587 worldwide. Not numbers to like bat an eye at, like still not as good as Independence Day, but still very solid numbers.
And here's a movie that he gets to be comedic in. He is the comedy relief for the most part, as far as the main characters go. And I really, this first movie of Men in Black is a lot of fun and
so much fun.
So Vincent D'Onofrio is amazing as his role as the cockroach.
Edgar.
Edgar. This movie is and then here you go, like this is the first time we get a movie tie-in song with Will Smith.
Yep.
So you get Men in Black's main title song and he does that, and he dances with the alien in his music video.
Yep.
And yeah, man, like this took the world by storm. Like
I
this,
really should have looked up the album sales for the Men in Black album, because I know that song was hot for that entire summer.
oh yeah, and for the following year, or like
Was it?
following fall or whatever. I remember at one point, like they were playing it at the end of our morning announcements, like our senior year in high school.
Oh,
So
geez, wow.
yeah, it was pretty crazy. So
Absolutely fun movie. Him and Tommy Lee Jones do such a good job together in this.
off each other really well.
Yeah, and being the first one, it obviously has the plot device of we as the audience are learning about the Men in Black through Will Smith's character's introduction to what goes on at the Men in Black. Rip Torn is absolutely amazing as their boss. Really good, fun, and enjoyable story, and I liked how what was going on in the modern day connected back to what young Tommy Lee Jones did. Thought it was a really cool story and plot, and I had a lot of fun with it. I still to this day have a lot of fun whenever I watch it.
Totally agree.
It definitely holds up. So in 1998, we did not get a summer release from Will Smith. He got a November 20th, so right around Thanksgiving release, and it's a movie that I really enjoy. It's Enemy of the State. Him and Gene Hackman.
Yep, him and Gene Hackman. There's a lot of other small bit players in this movie.
Seth Green, I believe, is in it.
Barry
Jack
Pepper's
Black is in it. Barry Pepper.
Yeah, like so it's a lot of people who but like right before they kind of got big.
Jason Lee is also one of the guys.
Yeah, because he's right at the beginning.
Yep.
So this movie makes 111 domestically, 250 worldwide, but it gives you this weird glimpse into like the Orwellian like future that's coming, like that has shown up on our
that has shown
now.
up.
Like how they do facial recognition and how they can predict what's going on because of shadows here and there. And it's like you watch this and when it came out in 1998 and you're like, oh man, like that, whatever, that's far-fetched. And we're not even 20 years later and we're like, yep, they probably do every single thing that they show in that movie. They've probably been doing that as a government entity for at least a decade, if not longer. So
every time I go back and rewatch it now, I always feel like it was like pre-24 before 24 was 24, because it's like all the like hacking and computer stuff that they're doing in the movie. I'm like, they did a lot of that on 24.
And Swordfish.
Oh, and Swordfish too, yeah. Which actually, I believe Swordfish came out today, June 8th of 2001, I believe is the release date for Swordfish.
Wow.
Because I almost watched it today, but I did not have time. 1999, the greatest year for movies ever, and we get probably Will Smith's one of his worst movies he's ever done.
Oh, this is his worst.
You think so? Okay.
Oh yeah, and it's not even like his worst. He's fine because he's just basically Agent J. Yeah, he's just basically Agent J in the Wild Wild West.
Oh man, terrible movie.
I gotta say though, like the only great thing about this was I really still enjoy the Wild Wild West.
The song
by him and Cisco, man. Like it's fun, it's infectious. But that movie is utter shit.
Movie is terrible. It came out on June 30th. It was technically a July 4th holiday release, but I think that year it was a Wednesday release, so that would have meant that like the 4th of July was on a Monday or something.
Yeah, this movie was supposed to be ginormous because here's Will Smith at like the height of his powers, essentially, and he could not save this movie whatsoever.
It barely made more money than Enemy of the State, and I would think that the majority of people. I'm sorry, not the majority. I'd say a good number of people don't even know that Enemy of the State exists. I feel like it's one of those movies that, like, if you weren't around and cared about it back in '98, like stuff like The Jackal came out around then, or like The Peacemaker, like movies that, like, if you didn't care about cinema back then, like a lot of people probably don't even know what Enemy of the State is.
Nope.
So it made $20 million more than Enemy of the State in the United States. and it made $30 million less with its worldwide box office. So Wild Wild West was supposed to be a huge summer release, and it was just a dud.
Kenneth Branagh and Kevin Kline.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why did you sign on? Like, at least Will Smith signed on, because wasn't this directed by Barry Sonnenfeld too?
That sounds correct. I believe, yeah.
That he was like, well, this is just another Men in Black movie.
Yep.
I can do this, and it just wasn't.
I really should have looked up some of Will Smith's paychecks for some of these movies to find out if he made like $30 million for doing this piece of shit.
So the next one you have on our list is Legend of Bagger Vance. Now, this came out November 3rd, like you were talking about. So this is his second window of the year. Made $30 million domestically, but only 39 worldwide. So not something that caught on anywhere else. Have you ever watched this movie?
I have, and it's terrible.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's based on a book that's like a spiritual thing about Bhagavas or something like that. It's some spiritual belief from the Middle East, and they just kind of turned it into a golf movie.
I don't hate this movie.
Really?
I'm not saying it's not something I would ever pop on to watch, but I don't hate it.
I watched it once and just did not enjoy 1 minute of it. And I like Matt Damon, and I just zero interest in ever watching this again.
Maybe my third favorite. Oh, it's got to be fourth favorite golf movie, but
Tin Cup.
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, of course.
And then, oh my gosh, The Greatest Game Ever Played, which was fantastic.
Was that Shia that did that?
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, okay.
Or he went nuts. And
yeah, I remember that movie being okay.
That movie was amazing to me. That was a Heartland movie.
Yep.
So, next up on our list is directed by Michael Mann.
Mm-hmm.
Our Christmas release of 2001. So Will Smith heard our cries that we didn't want to watch any more crap movies from him. So
in the summer,
he kind of slowed down to doing like one movie a year for a while here. And
well, hold on, just a real quick second here. I want to address that real quick. When I put this list together, I think there's only 30 movies that are on this list. I left off the very first movie he ever did, and I left off 3 or 4 movies where he just had cameos in them. Because I really wanted to talk about his career, the films that he drove. And there's only 30 movies on this list that we're going to talk about. He's not a dude that pumps out 3 or 4 movies a year. The majority of this list is 1 movie a year in one of those 2 windows. He has a couple of random ones that we're going to technically, Bad Boys was April 7th. So I don't know if they just didn't know what they had on their hands. They probably could have released that in June or July and potentially made more money.
Definitely.
But yeah, this is Will Smith. I have so much respect for him because of the fact that he just doesn't crank out 4 or 5 movies a year to get paid to do crap.
I was going to say, so one of the things when we used to listen to the Nerdist podcast, one of the things that I loved about Arnold Schwarzenegger's interview was he talked about when he moved to the United States, he had just enough money and he ended up buying an apartment building. All of his life savings from Mr. Universe and all this stuff, he just packed up and he moved here, and he ended up buying an apartment building. And him buying the apartment building gave him enough revenue that he could actually do the movies he wanted, not necessarily had to do.
That's awesome.
And so it makes me think of Kurt Russell, who says he does not do movies just to make money. He does anything that he wants just for the sake of it. Looks like he wants to have fun when he makes his films. Nice. And then it seems like that's the way Will Smith is going. But big surprise, he was a famous rapper. And then on top of that, he was a huge television star. So so he probably had plenty of money where he didn't really have to do anything just for the money sake of it. And he's probably literally just sitting there getting to pick and choose so that he's doing the things that he really wants to do.
I don't know if he's ever done an Inside the Actors Studio, but I need to look that up. I'd love to see him talking with James Lipton about his early career and whatnot. Because either he had an amazing agent or just got really lucky with those. His first big 4 movies, Bad Boys, Independence Day, Men in Black, and then Enemy of the State, Wild Wild West, whatever. But like at least those first three movies, like he knocked it out of the park, choosing them like to make.
And then next up, his own wife said while she was sleeping with him while he was filming this movie that he felt like she was cheating on her husband because of the fact that he went under such a physical transformation to become Muhammad Ali and Ali. Ever seen it?
I did. I was working at Showplace 16 when it came out. Our friend Brandy, her cousin Michael Michelle, plays like his third wife in the movie. So that was partially an incentive for me to watch it. On top of the fact that, you know, back then I was a really big Will Smith fan. My memory of it is very tinted because of the fact that it was a Christmas Day release. And back then, you know, you had the film cans that came in and you had to build up the movies and whatnot. And we didn't get our film cans until Christmas Eve. So I was already working on Christmas Eve, having to build up. We got like 3 prints of this, and I can't remember what else came out that day, but I had like 6 movies that I had to build up because I was the head projectionist at that point. So like I was building up movies. I didn't get to start Ali until about 1:30 in the morning. And it's like a 3-hour movie, if I remember right. Yep. So like I was at work until almost 5 in the morning, like, you know, building up all these movies, hitting start for them as I'm getting them built for like other people. So like the last Ali print that I built up, I started for myself at like 1:30 in the morning. I remember not hating the movie, but just wanting it to get over. Like while I was watching it, I'm like, I just want this to be done. I want to go home. Like, so I think I just had a really negative attitude when I was watching it because I don't remember hating it, but I also don't remember liking it.
What's interesting for this movie to me was I truly felt like he disappears. He does.
Oh, I'll give you that for sure.
Body transformation, and then he worked on the dialect so much.
Did he wear something in his mouth to like make his jaw or his mouth to protrude the way it did or something?
I don't remember if he did that or not. All I know is also John Voight plays Howard Cosell in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He's another one who just completely disappears in this film.
I forgot all about that.
I remember watching this and it was over and I was like, that's it? Like, there's not more. Like, I felt like there needed to be because it stops it with the rumble in the jungle. Yep. And I was just sitting there like, I want more of this. This is a very interesting piece. But I was kind of surprised, and maybe we should have done some more research on the fact that he didn't win the Oscar for this. It's fantastic, and like just you watch so many movies where people just look the same.
Sure,
playing them, they literally are just almost always playing. It hardly ever feels like acting to me. A lot of times you have like Tom Cruise. I don't think he acts for the most part. I think that's just Tom Cruise doing these movies.
For sure.
And I'd say that's 95% of the time. He might have acted like a long time ago. But lately, he definitely just kind of phones it in for me. But you know, it's funny. I say that, but Tom Cruise movies, I'll watch a Tom Cruise movie every time because almost every movie he makes is fun. Even if it's not that great, it's always enjoyable for me for the most part. The Mummy, not so much.
So I will 100% agree with you that he got robbed because okay. So he lost to Denzel Washington that year because of Training Day. And if anybody knows me, I absolutely hate Training Day. I think it's a piece of shit film. I hated Denzel Washington's character in it. In no way should he have ever won fucking Best Actor that year. Not at all. They were up against Russell Crowe for A Beautiful Mind, which I liked that movie, but I didn't really think Russell Crowe was that amazing in it. Sean Penn for I Am Sam, and I love that movie, but I also don't know if like I'd say that was a Best Actor. Like Sean Penn did a great job in it. What are you laughing about?
Tropic Thunder's coming to my mind right now. DJ, you never go full. Sorry.
And then Tom Wilkinson for In the Bedroom, which was also another good movie, but a very artsy movie. And like, I don't remember his performance standing out, so I probably would say I would have voted for Will Smith out of these 5 people that were available.
I remember that year now that you've given me those people, and yeah,
Yeah.
definitely would have picked Will Smith out of all those. So
Yeah, I definitely agree. Will Smith should have done it. So then next year he goes back to his July releases because he starts to go on the sequel trend,
yeah,
which is unfortunate because a lot of these sequels he did are pretty bad. Men in Black 2 was a quick cash grab. It came out on July 3rd of 2002. So what are we looking at here? 5 years after the first movie came out, and it was garbage. It was so not good at all.
that the one with Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember liking the movie a whole lot. I want to say was oh gosh, Kay's retired and they have to
Yep.
bring him back.
Yep.
But then he retires again at the end. Or no, the first one he retired at the end, and it was
Yeah.
her, which makes no sense because Linda
Fiorentino.
Fiorentino, yeah, she never comes back for the second
Nope.
movie.
And
Like
yeah,
they were just like, yeah, we're not going to pay you to come back because she probably asked for something ungodly because they made so much money off the first one.
very
And
probable.
but yeah, so like yeah, the second one is not very good at all.
No. Made $190 million in the US. Oh, well, actually, we didn't do all these box office numbers. Only 58 million in the US and 87 grand total in the entire world. So,
Just weird because like, but it is an art film. Like,
sure.
I feel like it's more art than mainstream for sure. So
Well, and it's a biopic, which, it knocks it down in my opinion a lot. But Men in Black 2 made 190 million, so it came in 60 million less than the first Men in Black did. And then worldwide, 141 million, which is 140 million lower than the first one. So obviously word got out. I assume the first one probably had a lot of repeat viewers that summer. I feel like that was something that was a lot more popular in the 90s, and I don't know if it was a pricing thing, because I mean, when I started working at the movie theaters, it was like $4 to go watch a movie compared to now it's like, 10 to go watch an afternoon matinee or whatever. Um,
7 if you come to our theater.
well, true. But so like, I don't know if like, I felt like in the 90s, I would go rewatch a movie multiple times.
You also have more free time, dude. Like,
Well, sure. But I'm just saying in 2002, people apparently didn't want to use their free time to go watch Men in Black a second time.
well, it's because it's a crap movie. Like,
Exactly.
it's yeah, you don't get repeat business on crap movies, man.
Yeah.
So,
A year later, we had another shitty sequel that he did.
which is
In
so weird because you and I are probably in the minority on this, man. So many people like this movie, which makes no sense to me because I've even
No.
watched it again recently when it was on like TV or something, and I was just allowing it to play, and I was like, this movie is just bad. Like, so this is, and not in a good way. It's Bad
No.
Boys 2, July 18th, 2003. 138 domestic, 273 worldwide. So it's barely double.
Yep.
Yeah, it's barely double
The
what
original.
the original did. And you're talking about 8 years later. So there's no like the repeat business should have been through the roof. If it was a good movie, but
Well,
like
and it's not a good movie because you spent an entire first movie building up these two characters that were brothers for life. No matter what, they had each other's backs. And in the second movie, they decided they wanted to make it a drama where they aren't happy. Or Burnett is not happy being Lowry's partner anymore. Why? Why would they ever do that? Like they were leaning too much into wanting to be Lethal Weapon. Like they were trying to put that like I'm too old for this shit. Like I don't want the crazy partner anymore type vibe between these two, and they never should have done that. Like
no.
there was no like just give me like, the whole Gabrielle Union subplot was fucking stupid. Like them trying to hide that they're dating and they're trying to hide like if you guys are brothers for life, that means you also grew up with her like as your sister for life. Like you should be able to just tell Burnett, "Hey, I'm dating your sister, man. Like we've grown up together."
Yeah, I'm fine with the Gabrielle Union things for the most part. but I
It
still
was
believe,
just
like,
used to make more drama between them that should never have been put there.
I don't mind. Like, if all the other drama didn't exist and that drama did, I definitely wouldn't have minded, like, at all. But here's this movie that at the end of it pulls a Return of the King, because it should have
Oh yeah.
ended. It should
Oh
have
yeah.
ended as a as a shootout at the drug cartel's house in Miami,
Yep.
and then it ends up the drug cartel guy runs to Cuba with the sister, and so then you added another 45 minutes of them going to Cuba and
Yes.
busting
It's terrible.
her, and then busting out and going to Guantanamo Bay and having a shootout in the sand. It was so stupid. And all
I
of
don't
the action sequences were way, way over the top.
I don't
Like,
remember Michael Bay's exact chronology. Hold on, what would this have been? 2003. Okay, so this was still before Transformers.
yep,
Um, so I mean, this possibly could have been like the beginning of him going. Like he may have got too much of an ego for doing those, 3 good movies in a row. Because let's see, if Armageddon was 98, did he do anything between 98 and 03?
he had to have. Like, there's no way that he was like not.
Dormant for that long?
Yeah,
Yeah. So no matter what, whatever he did after Armageddon, I feel like Armageddon is the end of Michael Bay being good at anything.
yeah, I'm right there with you on that.
So yeah, this movie was garbage. I hated the plot. I hated all the drama they tried to do. I hated what they did to these two characters. And the great thing is I'm happy that they solved it in Bad Boys for Life. Like that made me happy that they fixed all the like. I literally would rather just watch Bad Boys and then Bad Boys for Life and never address the second movie ever again. What'd he do?
Okay. He went from he went from Bad Boys to The Rock to Armageddon.
Armageddon.
So here he hits 3 home runs.
Yep.
Right after that, he did Pearl Harbor,
Oh yeah.
Bad Boys 2,
And then The Island, right?
The Island, and then the first Transformers. Now, me personally, I
Mhm.
don't mind The Island so
I
much
hate
as
it.
you do. But Transformers is a really
It's
decent
decent.
film.
Yeah. The
So,
first one. It goes
yeah,
downhill from there.
absolutely. So
But yeah, so
here we
so there
are.
was go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and Bad Boys 2.
Okay.
It's fine. It's not a good movie by my
No.
opinion, but I know so many people who love it, and some people who think it's better than the first one, and I
No,
think they're nuts.
no.
So
Absolutely not. The next movie is just kind of thrown in there because I like talking about Ben Affleck.
what? And Kevin
This,
Smith?
yeah, and
Huh?
Kevin Smith. Yeah. This is his one cameo movie that I went ahead and left on here just because I like talking about.
Jennifer?
Yeah, exactly. Jersey Girl. He had a very small part in that. Which very funny. We all know the drama that's going on between Kevin Smith and Bruce Willis and them not working very well together because of cop out and stuff like that. But I love the fact that Will Smith's character was originally supposed to be Bruce Willis in Jersey Girl. And Ben Affleck was supposed to be marketing him when he was like trying to launch his music career or whatever. And so once Bruce Willis passed on letting them, use him in the movie, they reached out. Kevin Smith tells some kind of long story about how he got Will Smith to be involved. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but Will Smith, he loved working with him for the fact that Will Smith was willing to poke fun at himself in the movie. And so I thought that was always really cool.
It's a solid little. I mean, you have what happens at the beginning, but then him showing up and doing the cameo at the end is like,
Yeah.
It's such a nice what's the word? Circular
Full circle.
Full circle moment. Thank you.
Yeah.
That like, yeah. And Jersey Girl, you and I have talked about it on our Kevin Smith episode. Like,
Yep.
this is a movie that I think is a little underrated.
Agreed.
I think it's a very heartwarming, great story about a man and his daughter. Like, and just overall, and like, and but yeah. So, anyways, we can move on.
Great little cameo that he did. The next year, the same year, 2004, Will Smith moves into the summer blockbuster window again, a July 16th release with iRobot. Him and Alan Tudyk does the voice of I can't even remember the robot's name now, but it's a fun movie. I won't say that it's great. Will Smith and Alan Tudyk both do a good job in the movie.
Del Monahan.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've forgotten that. Yeah. Decent story based on
Philip
what?
K. Dick.
Thank you. Yes, a Philip K. Dick story. Um, and it's fine. It's good. It was fun. It's not something that I love. I think I owned it at one point, but I don't know if I do anymore. But it's fine. It's fun to watch. It made $144 million, so it's on par with some of his other movies. Domestically, it was 144, and then 348. So it made another $200 million overseas. So it was popular enough. Again, I won't say it's his best role. I won't say it's an amazing movie or anything, but it's not bad.
Totally agree.
Then we have his first animated movie the same year. This one
is 3 in 1 year.
3 in 1 year for him, yeah. But you've got to think, iRobot, well, Jersey Girl, just a cameo. iRobot, very CGI heavy movie that probably took a lot of post-production. And then you have Shark Tale, an animated film that was 2 to 3 years worth of production. So understandable that like all three of these kind of got lumped together. I don't know. Perhaps people were trying to cash in on him at that point. I don't know why after Men in Black 2 and Bad Boys 2, but I mean, obviously Kevin Smith wasn't trying to cash in on him, but I feel like putting him in an animated movie and, another science fiction mega CGI movie, it makes sense that they all came out around the same time. Shark Tale was fine. I've only ever seen it once. I honestly barely remember it.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, I can't remember the plot. I remember Will Smith voicing a blue fish, I believe it was.
And
there was some big
year as Finding Nemo.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah, that's probably. So was this the one that he was like? If I remember, the poster had him like with a giant shark or something. There was some big shark character.
I think so because of Martin. Not Freeman. What's the Scorsese did a voice in this movie?
Oh, okay.
And Robert De Niro did a voice in the movie too. So the big song from this one was the remake of Car Wash with Christina Aguilera.
I remember the song.
So, yeah, and I want to say Nemo came out that summer, like the summer of 2004.
Okay.
So another tale of one of those movies in Hollywood where like two versions of the almost exact same movie come out.
Ants in a Bug Life.
Ants in a Bug Life, Dante's Peak and Volcano. Armageddon and
Deep Impact.
Yeah, they just kept doing this, and they still do it every now and then from time to time. So,
yep. I feel like there was a Pixar, like other than A Bug's Life and Ants. I feel like there was another Pixar one that did that I can't remember it off the top of my head. But anyway, the next year in 2005, for the first time ever, they decided to shift him into a Valentine's Day slot. February 11th saw the release of Hitch.
Which was a beautiful choice to release this movie at Valentine's Day. This movie is a whole lot of fun, very great comedy. My brother always complains that Will Smith teaches everybody to do everything right for the whole movie, essentially, but he can't do it himself in the film. And he's always annoyed because he's not even following his own advice. And I'm like, well, that's because he's actually in love and he's messed up in the brain because of the fact that he's in love with Eva Mendes. And so it's breaking his programming, essentially. He's not thinking of it he's not thinking with his brain properly because of the fact that he's influenced by love on this movie.
Sure. And I feel like we talked about it on the rom-com episode where we talked about the fact that like the whole twist at the end is the fact that like he wasn't really doing anything to these guys. He was just teaching these guys how to be themselves.
No. See, that's your theory. My theory is he taught everybody how to run their relationship correctly, but that the girl that Kevin James is after, Kevin James isn't listening to his advice properly.
Oh, okay.
So I think she falls in love with Kevin James because of the fact that he's not doing it. Not everybody, because most of the time it almost seems like the programming that he's giving people or like advice that he's giving people is for people that are superficial compared to people who actually fall in love. And so I think there's a little bit of a difference for, here's these guys who are falling in love with women who are models and above, or higher ranking than than the men that they're with, essentially. But I think that was literally one of those moments where, like, he can get a girl because he's acting like himself. I don't know. That's just my theory on the movie. So,
well, I keep talking for a second because I want to look up best February release box office, because
probably
this
Deadpool.
well, no. Well, no. Obviously, Black Panther owns number one for February. Like, but I wonder before Black Panther how high, because 177 million in February is kind of a big number.
It is.
Like,
number.
Black Panther's number one, Deadpool's number two, 50 Shades of Grey, Passion of the Christ. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 177 isn't that big of a deal.
So, yeah. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a good rom-com, especially if you're in a good
14th on the list for February releases.
Next up on our list is The Pursuit of Happiness. December 15th, 2006. You got a 162 domestic, 307 worldwide poll on this one. This movie is adorable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's his. I think he does some really good acting in the movie. It's another time where Will Smith goes in these spurts where he's like, I'm aiming for the Oscar. Like,
sure. Yep.
It's literally like, I think that's what he does. And so, like, Ali was his first like real reach for an Oscar. I think this was his second real reach for an Oscar, where he was like, screw this, I'm gonna try and win this year. And Pursuit of Happiness is an adorable film. It's based on a true story about a father who basically loses everything and is homeless and is trying to take care of his own son. Will Smith ended up having his own son play his son in the movie. And I think my two favorite scenes in this movie are one, and when he's doing the Rubik's Cube, trying to convince the guy that he should get an interview. Okay. And then second one is when he goes to, when him and his son get to go to the 49er game.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Enjoy that, like, that moment where he gets, because, watching joy on your child's face is something that is absolutely one of the best feelings and awesome things in the world.
For sure.
And so, yeah, like, especially now being a dad and having seen that movie, like, that moment is just so much more amplified. So it's fantastic. But overall, really solid movie.
For sure.
Love it. I don't own it, but yeah, good movie.
It's one that I've only ever seen once, but as you were describing some of those scenes, they were coming back to me. It was reminding me of it. I remember liking it. I remember thinking that Will Smith did a really good job in it. So yeah, really good. And then he kind of does a polar opposite the next year. Really good, heartwarming dad and son movie. And then 1 year later, another December release for Big Willie, I Am Legend, which like the fourth version of this story that we've gotten. I think there's been 3 other movie versions of it.
Do you ever watch the Omega Man?
I have watched Omega Man. It's pretty tough to sit through.
Which a lot of people still love that version. But the 70s influence of it, like how the camera work is, and
yeah,
I feel bad for them because there's a point in time where, like, he's supposed to be the last man on Earth, but they pan out, and then if you look in the very far distance, because they shot some of it in New York, you can see like cars driving on the highway in the background.
Oh no way!
And it's just one of those moments where you're like,
I never caught that,
dude. Come on, like you guys should have shot that from a different angle, so you would have never had that opportunity. Like, yeah, there's cars moving in the background, but it's like, it's in the far distant background, but being an independent filmmaker, especially at this point when we're watching this movie, where the Omega Man came out, I watched it right around the same time.
Yep, that's why I watched it. We only stopped
making movies like 2 years prior or something, and had the dream of still releasing more. But yeah, so like seeing that in the background, I was like, oh, come on. Like, I know you guys didn't have CGI back then, but you could have done something. Could have put some Vaseline on the camera lens or something to blur that out.
I mean, and I Am Legend holds the great moment in comic book history where it predicted Batman versus Superman.
Well, they were already talking about it at that point.
Oh,
too.
were they? Okay.
Yeah, like that was something that was like on the
10
table.
years earlier.
Yeah, it was on the table, and it was something that they wanted to do, but they never figured it out. So, but yeah, like this movie, this is a solid like 7 out of 10 for me. So like 3.5 stars for me.
Yeah.
This is the scene with the dog, the scene in some of the scenes in the video, like the video store when he finds the mannequin outside the video store that should have been in the video store. Like I like there's these scenes, and you're just like he was doing some really good stuff in this film. And
this is one of the ones where I like the DVD with all the deleted scenes on it that shows you the original ending where they actually made Will Smith's character a bad guy. What's that?
Original ending so much better.
Yeah, the original ending where like Will Smith realizes that he's actually the bad guy of this whole story is so much better than the happy everybody's happy ending that we got.
The only other thing that really bugged me is like they used too much CGI for the bad, like for the vampire
for sure
in this movie, because they don't look right. They look like the Scorpion King at the end of the Mummy Return. Like, it's just we weren't progressed enough with CGI to really do it properly. I'm willing to overlook that because it's kind of a freaky movie and just like very tense, edge of your seat stuff. But I enjoy the movie quite a bit.
Yep. 2008, we see Big Willie go back to a summer 4th of July release. On July 2nd, we got Hancock, and you're shaking your head like.
Peter Berg directed this movie.
Okay.
I wanted this movie to be good. I don't think it is.
I enjoy it. I like the concept of it. The two people that aren't supposed to be together, but they're always drawn to each other. Like, I liked Will Smith kind of playing an asshole. Like, it was, in my opinion, it was good to see him play something different than I'd seen him before.
Yeah, I can see that. I just didn't dig the movie a whole lot. So, yeah.
And I'll agree with you. The plot's not that great. Charlize Theron, right?
Yep.
Yeah, she looks amazing in this movie.
She does. Yes.
So it's very easy on the eyes watching her and Will Smith together and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, I think mostly the reason why I like it more than I probably should is because it was just nice to see Will Smith kind of playing a jerk, kind of playing somebody that he obviously is doing good things in the movie and protecting people and saving people and whatnot, but then he's an asshole about it after he does it. So it's like, it was nice to see him, the dry, cynical, sarcastic humor that like I really hadn't seen him do a lot of before. But I'll agree that the plot and the third act is really pretty garbage, to be honest.
Still, but 227 domestic and 624 worldwide. That's a huge take. And maybe a lot of people did feel the same way that you did, where they just loved Will Smith doing something different.
That's 400 million extra, like, worldwide. Like, so it was obviously even like way more popular than it was in the United States. The next, actually the same year. So this is a year that we got two. We got a July 4th release and a Christmas release, December 19th. Saw 7 pounds get released.
I watched the movie. I think I can't remember if I made it all the way to the end or not. I remember seeing like Rosario Dawson and him.
Mm-hmm.
I remember certain aspects of it, but I really don't remember the ending, if I made it there or not, or if I passed out while watching it or whatever.
Well, I don't want to say what I want to say then, because it might spoil the end for you. Like, do you think you'll ever watch it?
Yeah, you can go ahead, man, if I haven't caught it by now.
Okay. If I remember the movie right, the reason that he's randomly helping all these people throughout the movie is because when his wife died, these were the like 7 people that got her organ donations.
Gotcha. And I remember him being rich in the movie and like giving away his fortune or something.
Yeah, and he was doing it because like his wife died for whatever reason, and then she was an organ donor, so like these 7 people that appear to be random that he's like doing stuff for in the movie. You find out near the very end that they're the 7 people that got her different body parts and whatnot. So that's really all. I remember that being like good and powerful for it, but I don't really remember a whole lot of the rest of the movie.
This is his 3rd attempt at reaching for his Oscar. He got the same director that did Pursuit of Happiness, I think, to do that for him. And it was literally like, it's just him continuing to do that reach, trying to get that golden Oscar on his mantle. So
Men in Black 3. Well, actually, here's the funny thing about this. He took a pretty big 4 years off, about 3.5 years off from releasing movies. He goes from 2008 to 2012. I believe during those 4 years, he produced 3 or 4 different movies.
Yep.
I don't remember what they are off the top of my head, but I know 1 or 2 of them were fairly big release movies that he was a executive producer on. But when he finally came back to the theater, it was unfortunately for Men in Black 3.
Which, you say unfortunately, but look at those numbers, man.
Those numbers are insane. 179 domestic, and then it did almost another $500 million worldwide. And here's the thing, like
did over $500 million, dude. Like, you're talking about a movie that, look at the first one. The first one's 250, second one's 190, then the third one's 179. So you can tell the American audience doesn't give a crap about this. Then the worldwide audience went from 587 to 441, so they didn't like Men in Black 2. Then it shoots up to 624. So this just literally puts Will Smith back on the map.
654, not 624, 654.
Sorry, I saw Hancock's number.
Yeah, you're good.
So, like, this movie puts him back up there as superstar status, essentially. And me personally, I've never seen this movie.
Well, here's what I'll say. Like, I was shit talking it a second ago. It is way better than the second movie, but only because Josh Brolin does an amazing job of being Tommy Lee Jones. Like, in the same way we talk about Looper and what Joseph Gordon-Levitt did imitating Bruce Willis. Like, this movie, Thanos does an awesome job pretending to be Tommy Lee Jones, and that's very well done in the movie, but the plot is still stupid and makes absolutely no sense and is just not fun. I didn't enjoy the movie at all. You said you never saw it?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, stay away from it. Just like you should stay away from his next movie. In 2013, they gave him Memorial Day weekend for After Earth, which I regret ever spending the time to lay eyes on that movie because I hated every minute of it. You feel the same way? I mean, that was Shyamalan trying to do a not Shyamalan script, and it was not Shyamalan good either.
So this was a starring vehicle for him and his son Jaden.
Yep.
Directed by M. Night, and everybody panned this movie so much. I was busy putting together something at the house, building something furniture wise or whatever. And I just put it on so that there was something on the TV while I was doing that.
Sure.
I did not hate this movie as everybody much hates it, but I would not say that it is a good movie. I would just say everybody said it was like 0 stars or 1 star or whatever. And I'm like, I might give it 1.5, like maybe, but I was kind of not always paying attention to the television while I was building the thing that I was building. So
see, and you also had your expectations lowered so much that it couldn't have been worse than you were expecting.
Well, yeah, like at that point I was expecting like just to poop to be on screen for 2 hours, and it was better than poop being on screen for 2 hours. So, but I personally really enjoyed the next movie he releases.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. His next 2 movies both came out in 2015, and I missed both of these. So you'll have to give me your opinions on Focus, which was released in February 27th of 2015. So another, I mean, it was after Valentine's Day, so I'm not really sure why that was a late February release. But then he hit Christmas Day again with Concussion, the one about the guy that created the helmets for the NFL. Did you see both of them?
I saw Focus. Focus is with Margot Robbie. And
I want to see it.
It's Con Men. And it's got an Ocean's 11 vibe to it. Um, very smooth people doing very smooth things.
Right on.
I thought that their chemistry is amazing and very palatable. You could definitely sense that they had the hots for one another.
Oh, nice.
And it's one of those things where like people always theorize that Will Smith and Jada might be in an open relationship anyway.
Okay.
Something that's come up in the media constantly, and it would not surprise me if he had the ability to, as long as his wife said it was okay,
Sure.
for him to go around and do whatever he wants. And who wouldn't with Margot Robbie? Like, I love my wife, but man, an opportunity arises, I might, her and I might have to have words about our, our top 5 list. Anyway, so, but yeah, Focus is grifting.
Sure.
It's yeah, man. Like it's enjoyable. It's fun. It's not great, but it's easily a 3-star for me out of 5. I'd put 3 out of 5 on this. I had fun watching it.
Good.
It might be worth watching again so that you could, like, since you would already know what's happening, see things kind of like Ocean's 11. But
that was the one a couple of days ago when I was putting the script together for this week. I was like, oh man, I need to really try to find if I can watch that before we record, and it's not available on any streaming that I could find. So I didn't end up going out of my way to buy it or anything. So
yep. Next one is Concussion, and like you said, it comes out on Christmas 2015, and it's about CTE and like the first doctor to really try to bring that to the NFL's attention.
Did you see it?
No, I did not see this movie, but this is another one of his Oscar reaches. And to me personally, I
fell flat.
Did not feel like something I love NFL and I love football. I care about concussions and people getting brain damage and stuff, but it was not something where I was like, I really want to sit down and watch that. I just didn't find the time, and I'm not interested in hunting it down.
Looking at the numbers for both of those 2015 movies, 53 million and 34 million were the domestics on that one. So pretty low numbers as far as Will Smith's concerned. Focus had a huge, did another 110 million-ish worldwide, but Concussion only did 16 more million worldwide. So kind of proof that the rest of the world doesn't give a shit about the NFL.
Yeah, nobody cares about American football except for Americans. So
exactly. 2016, we got another double release year from him. We got a summer release, a late August or an early August release, and then a Christmas release. But August 5th of 2016, we got Suicide Squad, which he was fine in.
He was the best part of that movie for me personally. His relationship with his daughter in that film, and he was definitely the best part. I mean, besides Margot Robbie running around in a Harley Quinn outfit, like and being very Harley Quinn-esque. But yeah, like him and her are definitely the best part of this film. That movie sucks so bad.
It was not.
Points don't make any sense, and so
it made $325 million, so a lot of people enjoyed it. Made another 420 worldwide for sure. Made another 420 worldwide for a grand total of $746 million, which is not something to bat an eye at, and it's an obvious reason why they're doing a sequel to it. Not sure why Will Smith didn't want to come back for the sequel. What's that?
Sequel, not sequel.
Yeah, a James Gunn version of the sequel. Like Rick Flag is coming back, but he looks completely different than he did in the first movie.
Well, and this one looks like it takes place in the 70s and doesn't have anything to do with current time.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens whenever that comes out. So in December, he did Collateral Beauty.
I don't remember this movie at all.
I don't either. When I was going through to do this, I had to look it up. I don't remember this movie. I don't remember it coming out. I don't remember. I know I haven't ever watched it.
Nope.
So since you don't know what it is, I guess I should look up the description of it real quick because Collateral Beauty. Oh yeah. This is the one where he he writes letters to love, time, and death, and he receives unexpected answers. This is like Ed Norton and Kate Winslet and Michael Pena and Helen Mirren and Keira Knightley.
I remember
Like,
the poster, but I do not remember the
yeah.
movie at all.
I remember the trailer slightly, just because it's like it's. I remember him sitting on the park bench talking to Helen Mirren and whatnot.
And look at this. Another Oscar reach, and he makes 31 domestic and 85 worldwide. Like, this guy needs to realize that his not, you know what, I guess a lot of Oscar movies nowadays don't make much money because all we do is give it to our product anyway and not mainstream. So why should anybody watch the Oscars and give a flying fuck anyways?
I mean, the Oscars are literally just a really shitty popularity contest now. It really doesn't have anything to do with acting. I mean, I'm going to be 100% honest. I was completely surprised that Chadwick Boseman didn't win the Oscar this year. I couldn't believe they gave it to Anthony Hopkins. Granted, I haven't seen either of the movies that they've been in, so I have no opinion either way on who should have gotten it. But like, knowing that the Oscars are just a popularity contest and that half the people in the Academy don't even vote themselves. They give it to their assistants or their brother to fill out their ballots for them. Like, it has nothing to do with actual performance. Like, most of the time it's not actors actually judging other actors' performances. It's literally just your assistant voting for who they like the most. Like, pretty garbage. But yeah, so
Oh,
neither of us know
right.
much about Collateral Beauty. But Bright, I know you've seen it. I haven't.
Right was done on Netflix. It was one of their first big movies that had a superstar in it. December 22nd, 2017. It's released on Netflix. Joel Egerton plays his partner. Basically, the whole story is Will Smith is a cop in LA, but in this version of in their universe, monsters, humanoid monsters exist on our plane, uh, coincidentally with humans, and but the monsters are treated as second class citizens and stuff like that. Essentially, it's kind of a commentary on race for the most part. And Joel Egerton you can't recognize this guy while he's in the
Sure.
or in the makeup for the character that he's playing. Great, solid movie. Three stars. It's one of those ones where, like, if they ever made the sequels, because you could tell that they were like, we should set up a universe, and if this goes really well, we'll make sequels. So they probably signed some like 3 or 5 picture deal in the original timeline. I would have liked to have spent more time in that universe. It would have been interesting enough for me to go back, but the first movie is kind of just blah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they were setting things up, and it just never took off apparently. So,
Yeah, I remember talking to you about it and some other people that watched it, and nobody like raved to me about it. So I never really made the time. I did not ever make the time to even start watching it.
then he takes 2 years off,
Mm-hmm.
and he makes the next big shit piece of movie that, like, so you and I, same age,
Yep.
grown up, dude. I was a Disney kid
Oh
from
yeah.
4 or 5 years old, probably. You're talking about, like, my classics that I love are Great Mouse Detective, Peter Pan, Robin Hood.
Yep. Those are my top three also.
And then you're like, oh, so then you come to like new Disney, which in my classification is anything from Little Mermaid on the way up.
See, I
And
don't go to New Disney until Lilo and Stitch, or I'm sorry, Treasure Planet was the first CGI one.
well, see, I don't do it because, like, there was a definite, like, couple of years, like a year or two, where they didn't release something, and then they finally kicked it into gear, and it was
Okay.
like, and Little Mermaid was like their new classic style for me. And so, like,
Well, see, and of course, like Beauty. I said your three. I said were my favorite three. Beauty and the Beast is still my number one Disney movie. So, like,
but that's new Disney for me. So, like, I can, like, there, that
since
dividing
it's
line of,
still well, and see, I mean, I guess Beauty and the Beast could almost kind of be that dividing line because see, Little Mermaid was still completely hand drawn animation, whereas Beauty and the Beast was 90% hand drawn. Like, until they started doing like Uber CGI, when it's still hand drawn animation, I consider it classic Disney.
I can understand your thought process on that. It's just that I remember there being a defining moment of, like, movies start getting good again, like
Sure.
really, really good for them.
Because
So
their 80s, I don't remember their 80s being that good. Like their 60s were really solid with like The Great Mouse Detective and Peter Pan and Robin Hood even before
Great Mouse
that.
Detective is 80, like
Oh, is it? Okay.
84, 85,
All right.
86, somewhere in that range.
I
It's
thought it was
mid.
older than that.
No. Great Mouse Detective is mid 80s. Oliver and Company is mid 80s too.
That was like
But
89.
yeah, but like I feel like Little Mermaid. Anyways,
Sure.
splitting hairs here, but Little Mermaid, followed by Beauty and the Beast, followed by Aladdin, followed by Lion King. My problem with Disney is you don't touch classic movies that don't need to be remade.
Agreed.
Or if you're gonna remake the dang movie, change it up a little bit. My problem with Aladdin, the live action remakes of The Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, are the fact that it's almost a shot for shot remake of the original cartoon movie, but with live people or CGI animals the entire time.
Yeah.
So I really don't believe that you need to do these remakes. Guy Ritchie remakes Aladdin with Will Smith as the genie.
Yeah.
Maybe if you would have changed it up a little bit more, I would have been okay with this movie. Overall, I was very disappointed. Didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to. My kids liked it, which is, the demographic that they're really going after for the most part.
Sure.
But Will Smith was okay. I mean, it's hard to live up to Robin Williams'
For
version of
sure.
the genie, and nobody was ever going to do it justice. He does okay, but nothing great. Yeah,
Yeah, I refused to watch it after getting burned on Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King. I was fed up. I just refused to watch it. We get
it
an
does.
awkward. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it does have a good new song to it, and the Beauty and the Beast had a couple of good new songs that kind of fit in with everything. But for the most part, like I said, they're kind of just remakes, and it kind of is blah.
Yeah,
You don't it's kind of like you don't remake Casablanca or Wizard of Oz. Those are
for sure.
perfect classic
Yep.
films. I don't need an updated version with people in color or anything. So
Citizen Kane's been around for a long time, and nobody's been dumb enough to remake that.
I don't want to anybody. Please don't remake that.
Well, so we're looking at 2019 right now, and it's another three-banger year for him.
Well,
But again,
you missed out on the fact that Aladdin
oh my God,
domestically makes $355 million, probably because everybody who's me and Shane's age are going to take their kids to go see it, and the kids are going to say they love it, and they're going to go back a couple of times.
Yep.
You don't get numbers like this followed by the $1 billion that it made
$1 billion.
unless you go repeat viewers. Yeah, not a good movie.
It's sad that that's his like biggest grossing movie ever. Like it makes me upset. Like again, I've refused to watch it, but it makes me feel bad for him that that's his biggest movie ever. So like we said, it's another three-banger year for him in 2019, but much like the other year that he had his three bangers, you've got Aladdin, which has a ridiculous amount of CGI in it. Gemini Man, he literally played the same character twice, and they had to do a crap ton of CGI with his younger version of him. And then an animated film. I believe this is only his second animated film he's ever done. And his other animated film came out a year that he put three movies out. So the second one was October 11th of 2019. We got Gemini Man, which I actually really enjoyed. I liked it. The third act is a little hokey and cheesy, in my opinion. I feel like they could have written a better ending to it. But a lot of the fights and a lot of the stuff that happens in Act 1 and Act 2, I really enjoy the story and the pace of it. And the action scenes are a lot of fun. The young Will Smith character is kind of a dick, and I kind of enjoyed watching him play that younger version of himself. His older version, retired, getting out of the game, like, at the end of his career or whatnot, like, was a fine, fun character to watch and contrast with the young, badass version of him. So I really enjoyed Gemini Man. Like I said, I have problems with the ending, but overall, it's still so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it was an entertaining movie. On my 5 scale, which I usually use, I'd probably say it's a 3. Anything 2.5 and above, 2.5 and above is good. You might as well watch it. This is a 3. It's not a 3.5. It's almost there, but it's not. But it was entertaining. A lot of fun.
I never saw Spies in Disguise. I assume with your kids, you didn't either? Okay.
Yeah, my kids got to see it while their aunt and uncle were in town, so I didn't have to watch it. So
Got you.
yeah.
So yeah, Will Smith, Tom Holland. Let's look back really quick. Gemini Man only made $48 million in the US. It added about another 120 million worldwide for a grand total of 166. So, on par with some of his other movies. 166 is the exact same as 7 Pounds made. So, like, I mean, it at least made an okay amount of money for him in his career. And worldwide, Spies in Disguise made 165 million. So, like, right on par with Gemini Man. Spies in Disguise did do better in the United States with $66 million here. So it basically made $100 million overseas. And then we come to his last movie that's been released so far. It was one of the last movies that came out before the world was shut down for COVID. And it's one of my more enjoyed Will Smith movies, Bad Boys for Life. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I could easily throw Bad Boys 2 out and just consider these to be the sequel to Bad Boys. I like the fact that they repaired their friendship. I really enjoyed they still kind of did the little bit of like, we don't want to be partners anymore thing, or like, Burnett's retiring. And so like they play that up, but they don't play it up the same way that they did in the second movie where he didn't want to be his partner anymore. They played it as, I'm just done being a cop. I want to be a family man now. And it worked so much better. It's what they should have done in Bad Boys 2. But then, of course, let's ride together one last time for one last job. And they introduced the younger characters, and I found that their banter with Burnett and Lowry was really fun. And I felt like they didn't try to make it like a big drama thing between the two of them. It was just like these young, cocky kids who can do things that the old dogs can't do, but the old dogs still know what they're doing. And so I really liked the dynamic of the team they put together in that movie. And it was a decent storyline, nothing really amazing, but it was entertaining enough that like I enjoyed going on that journey with those two characters again.
And do you remember what we said after we watched this movie?
Oh, I don't. I've drank a lot since then.
You mentioned, I can't remember if you said it or I said it, but they were definitely setting up.
Oh, yes.
Fast and Furious kind of saga thing.
Yep.
Bringing in the new blood, and then Marcus and Michael.
Yep.
Being able to be like the old dogs who are like,
yep,
showing them how to do the ropes, but you could have the new dogs doing all the work kind of thing. I know they were talking about it at one point. My main complaint one is this should not have been Bad Boys for Life. That should have been the fourth one.
Exactly.
Something else like just Bad Boys 3 or something. Bad Boys for Life should have been the fourth movie, not the third one. And I really dislike the ending of this movie. Like the resolution and what they are kind of setting up, the possibility in the future of.
Yeah.
I didn't
forget about that
aspect of it, but considering the rest of the movie and how bad Bad Boys 2 was, for us to get this movie,
yes,
like you said, to be the bookend of it and just throw out number 2, I'm perfectly okay with that.
The only thing I can find online, after the opening weekend grosses came out, they announced that they were moving ahead with a fourth movie, and that I think the guy who wrote the third one was going to be writing the fourth one also. But that's literally the only thing I can find in a quick Google search about it. So,
and then, and
the pandemic hit, yeah. So we'll see what happens or what comes about with that. And I mean, for his most recent film, $200 million domestically, and then double that for the worldwide at 424. Like, that's a good for a guy who's been making movies for 30 years now. That's a good amount of money to be bringing in on your most recent film.
Absolutely.
It's very interesting while putting the script together to just kind of see how his career has fluctuated. And the really weird thing was when you and I were picking the people we were going to do for Blockbusters, obviously, like, Independence Day and Men in Black and stuff stuck out is, Will Smith's got to have dozens of summer blockbusters and whatnot. And he doesn't. I mean, probably maybe a third of his movies were summer releases, a lot of July 4th releases, at least 4 or 5 of those. a couple, random other ones, but he had a whole lot of Christmas releases that I just don't always think about.
Yeah, I mean, we keep thinking of Big Willie, right? Like,
Yep.
just think of Summertime Willie style. But yeah, overall, this movie, he's got a good movie career. He's done a little bit of everything. He does his action, he does his real acting, he does his voiceovers and stuff like that. So he's got a nice eclectic mix of things. So I'm almost inclined to watch almost any action film that Will Smith is in, just because of the fact that most of the time he likes to push the envelope a lot. I know that at one point in time, him and Tom Cruise were really good friends, and I don't know if that's still true or not. But yeah, like almost every Will Smith movie that is action driven is worth watching at least once.
For sure.
So.
All right. So that was an awesome look at Will Smith's career. I had a lot of fun talking about all those movies. A couple of them I still should probably watch. Still trying to get through the end of that beer, huh?
Almost. I'm almost there.
Almost there. Well, next week we're going to talk about Steven Spielberg. So that should be, it'll probably be a lot longer than 30 movies to look at. So we might have to fly through a few of them, but we're going to take a look at Steven Spielberg's career. Hopefully, I seem to feel like a lot of his stuff is big summer releases.
A lot of it is.
A lot of it.
He does the same thing Will Smith does.
Oh, okay.
There's very few movies that are not in the holiday window or the summer window. So there's very few that fall outside of that scope. And thinking of some of his movies that, like, some of his movies are not good movies.
Okay. Maybe what we'll do for him next week is we'll just divide them up into, we'll look at all of his summer releases and we'll look at all of his winter releases, and maybe anything that doesn't fall in there, we'll just leave it out, or maybe do it as an honorable mention at the end if it's something that we do like or whatnot. But maybe we can actually look and see, we'll compare all of his summer ones and see which ones of those are good. We can compare his winter releases and see which ones of those are good. Maybe that's how, instead of, just doing it all chronological, we'll just do it that way next week.
Sounds good.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. Thank you to everybody for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.